What if the real reason your knees hurt after 60 isn't aging, but the way you've been moving all your life? The solution, surprisingly simple, yet profoundly effective, came in the form of a gentle routine called shoulder circles against resistance. Instead of forcing his arms high overhead or attempting push-ups that left his joints throbbing, Harold learned to stand near a wall, place his fingertips lightly on its surface, and draw slow, controlled circles, first the size of a coin, then gradually growing to the width of a saucer. For 2 minutes each morning, this quiet ritual coaxed warmth and mobility into his shoulder joints, awakening sleeping muscles and easing tension that had built up over decades. After a week, Harold noticed he could slip on his shirt with less grimacing. After a month, he could reach for a high shelf without fear. But the real secret to pain-free movement after 60 isn't found in a single exercise or miracle stretch. It's about honoring the intricacies of your body's history, listening to its whispers before they become shouts. Harold's journey taught him the difference between passive suffering and active stewardship of his own well-being. He began to see his body not as a failing machine, but as an old friend, deserving of care and attention. One aspect of this stewardship is strategic rest, something rarely discussed in fitness circles. Rest is not idleness, but an active process where the body repairs, replenishes, and recalibrates. Harold developed a practice called micro-resting. Every hour, he paused for just 60 seconds, closed his eyes, and breathed deeply, sending oxygen-rich blood to his joints. These mindful pauses interrupted his day's stiffness, keeping inflammation at bay and his mind clear. Another overlooked technique is mindful weight shifting. Harold learned from his friend's physiotherapist that how you stand and transition your weight can either compress your joints or relieve them. Instead of planting his feet and rising with a grunt, Harold would gently rock forward and back, side to side, before standing up. This subtle motion activated his core, glutes, and stabilizing muscles, so his knees no longer bore the brunt of every movement. Over time, the sense of lightness in his legs amazed him. Stairs became less daunting, walks more enjoyable. Nutrition, too, played a silent but critical role. Harold swapped out foods that fueled inflammation for those that nourished his joints. Wild salmon, rich in omega-3s, brightly colored berries, bursting with antioxidants, and water, lots of it, to keep his connective tissues hydrated. He found that sipping warm water with a slice of ginger soothed his joints from the inside out, a trick his grandmother once swore by. But perhaps the most profound transformation was in Harold's mindset. He stopped measuring progress by what he couldn't do, and instead celebrated every small victory. The first morning, he could stroll to the mailbox without pausing. The afternoon, he knelt to tie his shoes and stood up with ease. The evening, he danced with his granddaughter in the living room, laughing freely. Harold's story isn't unique. It's a testament to the resilience and adaptability of the human body, even after decades of wear and tear. The key is recognizing that aging is not synonymous with decline. It's an invitation to move differently, to tune in rather than push through, to choose movements that nourish rather than punish. The science behind these gentle techniques is compelling. Cartilage, the tissue cushioning your joints, relies on movement to draw in nutrients. Unlike most tissues in the body, cartilage lacks its own blood supply. Instead, it's nourished by the synovial fluid that bathes it, and this fluid moves only when you do. Gentle, low-impact movements, like the wall glide, chair sway, and ankle rolls, act as pumps, delivering essential nutrients and clearing away waste. Strengthening the muscles around the joints is equally important. When the quadriceps and hamstrings are strong, they act like shock absorbers for the knees. When the glutes and hip flexors are flexible and engaged, the lower back and knees are spared unnecessary strain. And when the toes, ankles, and feet are supple, your entire posture shifts, reducing pressure all the way up the spine. Balance and proprioception, the body's sense of where it is in space, also decline with age, leading to falls and further injury. But these too can be retrained. Harold practiced standing on one foot while brushing his teeth, holding onto the counter for support at first, then gradually letting go. This simple act fired up the tiny stabilizing muscles in his feet and calves, improving his confidence and stability. Each day, Harold wove these micro habits into the fabric of his routine. He no longer saw exercise as punishment, but as self-care. He paid attention to posture when sitting, choosing a chair that supported his lower back and keeping his feet flat on the ground. He avoided sitting for long stretches, standing up every 20 minutes to stretch or walk around the room. Most importantly, Harold learned to listen to his body. If a movement caused sharp pain, he paused and modified it. If stiffness lingered, he gave himself grace and tried again later. Over weeks and months, the pain that once haunted his every step began to recede, a background hum instead of a blaring alarm. Today, Harold's garden blooms again, not only with flowers, but with hope. He moves through his days with a quiet confidence, tending to his plants, playing with his grandchildren, and enjoying the simple pleasure of a pain-free walk at sunset. His story is a reminder that lasting joint relief after 60 isn't about doing more, but about doing better, moving with intention, respecting your body's wisdom, and embracing the gentle power of change. So if your knees ache, if your back protests, if you've resigned yourself to a life of limitation, remember Harold's journey. Relief is possible, not through force, but through mindful, nourishing movement. Your body, no matter its age, is ready to heal. All it needs is the right invitation. Movement is more than a means to get from one place to another. As we grow older, it becomes the very foundation of our independence, our confidence, and our daily joy. Yet for so many, the simple act of reaching for a mug, opening a jar, or embracing a loved one can become frustrating, even painful. But what if you could change that? What if, instead of resigning yourself to stiffness and aches, you could rediscover comfort, strength, and control right within your own body? Let's begin with a deceptively simple exercise, the angel press. Imagine standing tall against a wall, arms raised as if you're making a snow angel in the middle of winter. But here's the twist. Gently press your arms and the backs of your hands into the wall. Hold that pressure for 5 deep, patient seconds. Then release. Repeat this 10 times. It's not about sweating or straining. It's about reconnecting. Each gentle press trains the rotator cuff, coaxing it to re-engage with your posture, to remember its true job. Within just a week, a man named Harold, who had given up wearing his favorite blue sweater because of shoulder pain, found himself slipping back into it without a wince. It wasn't magic, it was mindful movement. But the real revelation came with something almost no one talks about: rhythmic micro-movements. These aren't flashy stretches or heavy lifts. Instead, they're tiny, repeated motions, just half an inch back and forth. Developed by a physical therapist in Finland, this method may seem almost tedious. For 5 minutes, you move a joint ever so slightly, again and again. Why bother? because these micro-movements send vital signals through your nerves, teaching your body to relearn comfort. They wake up dormant joint receptors, like sunbeams coaxing a field of flowers to bloom after a long winter. Harold, who had lived with stiff, aching wrists for over a decade, used this method daily. Within a month, his hands remembered the piano keys. For the first time since 2004, he played music again and wept at the realization of what he had regained. Yet movement alone isn't the whole answer. The secret ingredient is breath. Yes, breath, something so basic we forget its power. Deep, diaphragmatic breathing does more than relax your mind. It increases the nitric oxide in your blood, which in turn helps your joints create more nourishing fluid. Try this. Inhale for 4 slow counts, hold gently for 4, then exhale for 6. Repeat this before any movement, and notice the difference. Your joints will feel lighter, as if they're floating, unburdened by gravity's usual grip. Another overlooked practice is the 5-minute floor stretch. Picture this. You lie down, a pillow tucked beneath your back, and let gravity do the work. No pulling, no pushing, just surrender. Your spine aligns, your joints decompress, and you breathe. In those 5 minutes, your body can find space again, as if you're growing taller, younger, more at ease. Harold described it as feeling 10 years taller. Sometimes, the simplest things unlock the greatest transformation. We mustn't forget our hands, those faithful tools that serve us every day. For this, there's the rice bucket twist, a favorite among violinists over 60. Place your hand into a bucket of uncooked rice and gently twist. The resistance of the rice trains all 34 muscles in your hand and forearm. After just 2 weeks of this humble exercise, Harold opened a stubborn pickle jar without help for the first time in years. Small victories, but victories all the same. But here's the truth at the heart of all these methods. Consistency is everything. Harold didn't treat his joints like broken machinery, only attending to them when they squeaked or groaned. He treated them like a cherished garden. He didn't expect flowers from a single watering. Instead, he nurtured them daily with patience and attention. He moved, he breathed, and more importantly, he listened, not just to the loud aches, but to the quiet whispers of his body. Over time, Harold discovered something beautiful. As his joints healed, he moved through the world with a new kind of grace. He danced gently with his granddaughter at her wedding, climbed the steps of an altar to light a candle in memory of his wife, and even began teaching stretching classes at the local senior center, something he never imagined possible. If you're listening now and feeling skeptical, thinking, "I've tried everything and nothing works," remember Harold's journey. Relief doesn't come from force or intensity. It comes from awareness, from the right movement, at the right time, with the right intention. Most people miss this. They chase bigger, harder, faster, when what truly matters is precision, patience, and the willingness to begin again. So, as you start your own path to joint freedom, let go of ambition and embrace attention. Begin with gentle ankle rolls before you even rise from bed. Sway in your chair as you savor your morning tea. Try one angel press before brushing your teeth. And above all, breathe slowly, deeply, and kindly. Your joints are not your enemy. They are your oldest friends, carrying memories in every creak and crack. Treat them with the love and respect they deserve, and they will move with you once more. Ask yourself, will you give your joints what they've quietly asked for all these years? Not more painkillers, Not more silence, but the movement, the breath, and the gentle attention they need to thrive. Don't wait for tomorrow, start today. Because movement, especially as the years go by, is about so much more than mobility. It's about reclaiming the moments that matter most, holding hands, lighting candles, and dancing slowly with the people you love. The path to joint comfort isn't paved with struggle or sacrifice. It's built with small, daily acts of care. With every gentle movement and every mindful breath, you're not just easing pain, you're rediscovering life's simple joys. And that is a gift worth claiming every single day.